what was, just going out for fun on a weekend has now become a way of life. My name's Ditto, 55 years old. In 2024, I rode an Aventon Level 2 across the United States. I went through a couple of major life changes and I needed some time to pull my head together. It took about 5 months to do. It was around 5,500 miles. My course was. I went from North Alabama to Tennessee to Virginia to the coast, and then back across into Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Oregon. That's the general route with a lot of points in between. Yeah. From hiking the Appalachian Trail, I already had most of my gear dialed in from previous bike tours. I had equipment, I had the bags, I had the tools to work on a bike, I had to know how to work on a bike. And as far as preparation, the Adventure Cycling Association is an advocacy group out of Missoula, Montana, that since 1976 has kind of curated a route across the United States. It's called the Transamerica. So I went to their maps so that I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. They had a time-tested route all the way across the country that was very scenic, and they were good about including resources. Here's a bike shop. Here's a place you can camp for free overnight. Here's a place you can get groceries. The so-and-so geology museum is such and such an address. So yeah, I didn't have to go seek out places like that necessarily, because I got enough hook into the locality that I could then go out and start to strike sparks with people and really, to my way of thinking, kind of figure the place out. What do the locals consider to be worth seeing and doing? What are they proud of? What should I stay away from? And that kind of thing. And those are the kinds of human connections that I went out to try to make in the first place. Although I didn't plan around power, it was in the back of my mind. I had 3 batteries and I never got into the third one. I always wanted to have one backup. The thing with power is that there are so many stray outlets, and people are 100% willing to allow you to access them. Something that really interested me was that there's so many dollar stores, something like that, and I would ask the person behind the counter, is it okay if I plug my bike in while I'm in here? And I don't care, do whatever you want. They would have just about handed me the keys to the stock room, I think. I picked the Level, and then I realized that my main concern was the durability. Nobody that I could find had done a ride that long. I couldn't find any information anywhere. So the only kind of evaluation methods that I have left were speaking in person to e-bike mechanics. And then I had an Aventon dealer who had the Level. And when I got out on that bike, I was like, okay, this is pretty peppy. This is kind of fun. And I think it was the torque sensor that made the difference, because I wasn't trying to boost it and getting it was kind of a smooth, it just felt pleasant. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll give this a shot. And then I took a 700-mile shakedown tour. I think that had there been a failure, I was expecting it to happen in those first few 100 miles. No failure. And so, yeah, it was great. It was great. I don't think that anything is objectively extraordinary, but I would roll in and I would have people who were just full of all this praise, and there were times when that's what kept me going. That kind of encouragement, that kind of human connection was always nice. It was nice to be able to encourage people back. They would say sometimes, I could never do this kind of thing, and I'd be like, you might be surprised what you can do.